Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I'm just going to finish off of where I've actually stopped in my past unboxing about this Lian UNI fans, which is actually the SL120 itself. I have not tested on the software application known as the L Connect and the aRGBs itself. Now, due to the fact that I've actually very bad experience in the past, but with this said, right, I've actually found out something about this unit. I'll explain to you later on in depth of what's actually going on. Now, before I do so, right, let me just show you a demonstration on the L Connect software itself. This is a very responsive kit, I should say, whereby right now you see right in front of you, right, it's running on full speed, 1900 RPMs on all these three fans. I can actually toggle them manually if I apply, right. As you can see, it lowers down the RPM itself and it's very responsive. Now, next thing is actually on the aRGBs itself. Same thing, it's very responsive. See, the moment I click, the lights comes out, and you can actually set the speed if you want to. Of course, you have all the different categories, or should I say the settings itself. Let me just run this. See, it's very responsive. It just instantly lit up. And some of this, I should say, this styles itself, right? For example, let's say I were to run, let me see. Oh, okay, probably I do set to fireworks. Just give me a minute. Okay, you can actually set the speed itself. They will just respond. See, this is faster speed. And if you don't want it too bright, you can actually lower down the aRGBs. This is pretty dim. Or you can actually set it brighter. Okay, I'll go all the way full. And best part is you can actually let's see, you can actually set direction. Let me just change this and apply to all. This is actually one direction itself. I can set it to the other direction, which is going the other way around. See, it's very responsive. Now, something which I've actually learned, to add fans, right, not an issue. And on top of it, well, if you can actually get this kind of strips, it's actually known as the SW2818B strips, that is actually 0.5 in meters. You can directly connect to the unit. Let me just show you. Okay, let me just off the fan here. I'm not going to have it spin. Then I just connect. See, it's responding. You can connect up to 2. I wouldn't advise you to actually do a daisy chain on the fans and to plug 3 of these strips, or to go beyond 2 strips. As one of these strips, right, will draw the current as 2 ampere. See? Now, bonus point is that you can actually manually set, like for example, let's say your strip, you want it to be different. I apply, see, it's of a different, the second strip is actually of a different pattern. Or you can actually select to the third strips, whereby I can actually do fireworks. See, it's of a different pattern. Now, as you can witness here, right, this hub is capable of actually doing the aRGB strips and also the fans itself. But I wouldn't want you guys to go crazy about it, you know, connecting all kinds of long strips and so. Before I proceed on with the technical aspect on the UNI fans controller itself, now there are things that you actually need to take note about the aRGBs and the ampere and the wattage. But before I do so, right, just to highlight and to entice you, for gamers out there, you can actually join this game Facebook known as Critical Gaming 93, which is actually created by a good friend of mine. Now, he does on live streaming as he play the game with his friends and with those people who actually joined this community itself. Currently, they are playing this game called Monster Hunter World, which is quite popular, I believe. And at times, they do play Call of Duty. Currently, they're actually waiting for a very, very latest game, which is known as Cyberpunk 2077. So if you guys are interested, do drop by to this Facebook, add him to it, and enjoy the game with him. Okay, now back on to the UniFan controller hub. Now back to the controller itself. I've actually dismantled this, and this unit here, right, in fact, it's very well built. And that's the reason why I dare to actually do the demonstration on the aRGBs and to connect the fan on this controller itself. As you can see over here, right? Okay, for those of you actually not interested about this, right, you can skip this part. I just want to highlight some stuff that it's brilliantly done. Now, as you can see, this unit itself, right, this is actually the main controller or the bridge between the unit itself and the motherboard that's transferring all the data, or should I say, getting all the commands to control the aRGBs and the fan RPM. And as you can see here, right, there are 4 chips over here. These are actually from Texas Instrument. They control individually. As you can see, there's 4. So there are a total of 8 connections here, which is in pairs. One is actually for the aRGB, the other one is actually for the fan. And what this chip does, right, it controls individually, as in like one for a fan and for aRGB. Then set 2, same thing. Set 3, same thing. And set 4, same thing. So basically, this is actually all controlled within the unit itself. And Lian have actually done a very good job in the way that comes to the connection wise, right? It does provide this standard connection to the fan itself. You can actually connect to the motherboard, or you can actually connect to the control unit itself. As for the RGB, right, they do not give you those standard connection, as I'm going to show you here. This is of another fan, whereby you can actually do daisy chain and to connect this onto your motherboard header. So having to say, you can actually connect 3 or 4. But for Lian case, right, it's different. It doesn't allow you to do so. Why is it so? If you to take a look at the fan itself, right, it's stated down here, the LED is taking up 0.65 ampere. So meaning to say, if you chain up to 3, right, it will takes up to 1.95 ampere. And due to my past mistake, right, that I've actually purchased fan that is actually not built this way, whereby you can daisy chain the aRGBs in series. So I've actually connected more than 9 fans, and I connect to the motherboard aRGB header, and that is where the problem comes. My aRGB header itself, right, is rated. All right, let me just take you to the dashboard and explain what is actually going on. I'm not going to confuse you guys further, but to do a step-by-step guide on this, because I think that you should be aware of this before you engage any aRGB lightings or fans onto your PC itself. Now, the first example here, right, taken from a motherboard itself, it does shows that how much ampere, as you can see here, 3 ampere, 5 volts on the addressable RGBs here. And this is the second board that only supply 2 ampere. So if you were to purchase aftermarket aRGB fans, and some they are very fanciful, the more fanciful it is, the more ampere it will draw. Imagine that you have actually purchased the OL11 and you want to fix, just like this gentleman, 10 fans, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you purchase the aftermarket aRGBs that does not have the controller, and you will daisy chain all them together and connect to the motherboard itself. So having to say so, right, this fan itself, one itself is drawing 0.3 ampere, and if you do times 10, this is actually 3 ampere. So having to say this, right, this 10 fan is drawing 3 ampere and your motherboard is actually supplying 2 ampere. So in no time, right, your aRGB header would just blow. Now, for Lian it's slightly different because it has its own controller, and this allowed up to 10 ampere. Meaning, say, if I were to add 6 fans, as you can see here, which the voltage rating, or should I say the ampere rating, is 0.65. Even if I were to times 6 and it goes 3.9, not a problem, because it's not drawing power from the motherboard header. In fact, it's actually drawing from this unit, which supply, or should I say support, up to 10 ampere. Having to say this, right, one thing that I've actually mentioned, it did a good job, because the connector on the aRGB, right, is different. It's meant for only this unit, and you can't connect this onto the motherboard. As like before, this you are able to connect to your motherboard. This you are not able to. So having to say this, right, you can connect more than 10 fans, which is actually 12, but I would advise you not to, because looking at the amperage itself, right, if you connect 12 fans at this rating, 0.65, it's actually 7.8. Yep, good enough. This controller supported. But if you do connect more, right, I think you're going to tax on the controller itself. So try to avoid this. And for aRGB strip, this is actually a bonus. Now, I'm just going to share with you, you can actually purchase this off from this. I'm going to leave a description, and you can actually choose either 30 or 60. They come with different style, which you can actually refer to the below. Now, for aRGB strips itself, right, make sure that they are of this model. It can come in 60 LED or 30 LEDs, up to you, but not longer than 0.5 meter on each strip, because the drawing current is actually 2A or 3A. Take, for example, let's say I take 3A, 3 ampere. If I were to take 2 strips, which times 3 ampere gives you 6 ampere. So you know that 2 strips contain 6 ampere of drawing power, or should I say drawing current. Now, adding on to the 3 fans, which I'm going to add on the UNI fans. So 3 unit times 0.65, which is actually a drawing current here, total is 1.95. So 1.95 plus 2 strips, which is at 6 ampere, when you total up, right, is 7.95. Yes, the unit is able to cater for this, not a problem. But when you plug in 6 fans itself, it's actually drawing current at 3.9, and you plus the 2 strips is total of 9.9, which is just okay. So do take note on the strips that you're gonna connect. If you're gonna connect 9 fans, I wouldn't advise you to connect any of the strips, right? It's not, your unit will not be able to take it. Now, leaving aside the strips itself, if you want to plug in more than 12 fans, just fans itself, not an issue, because when you do the figures over here, right, it's actually 7.8 ampere, which this unit will be able to take it. But if you go beyond that, right, as what claim on the internet itself saying that 16 and more, right, I wouldn't advise you to do so, because your unit will not be able to take it. Probably it will run for a short time, but after a period of time, right, your unit, I mean your controller, will burn out. So there you have it. In fact, I'm very particular about the amperage drawn by aRGB strips and on the aRGB fans itself, be it whether you have a controller unit or you buy those aRGB fans that does not have a control unit. I hope you have actually learned something about this, because most of the YouTubers that I've watched, right, they have not tell you this at all. So a lot of us who are not electronical inclined, right, probably will just, you know, grab all the fans, do a daisy chain like this here, and just plug to the fan header, unknowing that it's drawing so much current, but your motherboard doesn't support it, and end up you damage your motherboard. Okay, then I will see you guys on the next video. Hope you guys have learned something. Take care. Goodbye.